Dam.
The NBA trade deadline has come and gone. Where do the Bucks stack up with the other contenders in the Eastern Conference? Josh Jacobs is echoing many of our frustrations here in Packerland that the Packers need a true number one wide receiver. Beaver Dam girls basketball is headed to Milton tonight, and it's Thursday, so you know what that means. It's time for Pablo and I to tell you what is out of bounds this week. Wally Lukashinsky joined once again by Pablo Iglesias. Pablo, you came back, so obviously it couldn't have been too bad for you yesterday, right?
Well, my flip side of that too is that I was invited back, so I must have not messed up. I must have done something right to get the invite to come back.
I was happy to get the invite to come back after yesterday. I'm like, Pablo's going to do too good of a job. That's the biggest fear for me. If anything, I have to usher you out so people don't know that.
Oh no, man, we're always here to have fun a little bit too. I won't steal your spotlight though, maybe a little bit. Although I still need to be humbled a little bit after yesterday with Jason Wilde giving me the "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed" talk. Listen, Jason, I respect everything you've done. I know that you're a capital J journal. We have the same type of backgrounds, but listen too, if it comes down to a situation, I'm gonna double, triple down on this.
I don't blame you at all, by the way.
Kick the field goal, and I will be ready to go. Jason, you can't be disappointed in a confident man. I don't understand why I was getting shot down like that.
I was shocked
that missed it yesterday.
You and Corey are both athletes, so if it was me actually out there at this stage of my life saying that I could do it, it's one thing. But you're actually on the flip here. I could see in a world that Pablo can go out there and pipe a 30-yard field goal. I've been around Corey too long. I just don't think he's got it between the ears. I think he's shanking that at best. No chance he gets it up.
So are you calling Corey? Or Corey, you're saying Corey is an athlete.
He's an athlete. It's between the ears for him. I don't think he's going out there with the pressure on. That guy screaming on the edge, he's missing that kick.
So physical is there. Mental, you don't know if the mental game is, what's going to rattle. Somebody's chirping and talking about your mama back over here. Another person says, hey, to just jabber-jawing back and forth and all that. You don't think Corey can hold his own on that?
I'm hoping that Brock Lindy lets us do this and we actually can go out at some point and kick with that Beaver Dam team for a moment, because I will be in Corey's ear for a week ahead of that, Pablo.
As you should.
And I absolutely, my goal is to be so entrenched in the brain that he has no choice but to miss that kick.
What you could possibly do is, and I might be giving ammo already to Corey, is do what Oregon's coach did before they came to Wisconsin and do that like Pavlov's dog, or to even just go back to even more of the layman's terms for my Office fans, when Jim just had the email sound on The Office, and every time he would play that email sound, exactly. So exactly. You'd play the sound. Jim would play that sound every single time and give Dwight, his coworker across the way, the Altoid. So again, this is for the non-Office fans trying to paint that picture. But the theory of just hearing a sound, the dog will salivate by ringing the bell so many times. So why I'm bringing this up, Corey, you never know. You could do flip-flop. You could get in his own head, but he could also use that as motivation. Like I said, with what Oregon did for Wisconsin, they played jump around for their entire week of practice. And he said, you're going to hear this, and everybody's going to get hyped up. And when you hear this song, I need you to go into beast mode. I need you guys to take it to another level. That's next level. That's borderline psycho, honestly, but it works, man.
If it works, it works, man.
It takes you all the way to the quarterfinals of the college football playoff.
I wonder what happened when they got to the quarterfinals. I always forget what happened in that game.
That's right. I'm surprised he didn't even jump in and say something about
that.
No,
I have all respect for my Big Ten brethren. We did it together. This is a championship for all of us. Celebrate with me. Give us a call, 920-887-9595. And it looks like we do have a caller on the line right now, so let's welcome him in to the Damn Sports Show.
Hey, Wally, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing, man?
Good. It's Nihal. Pablo, nice to meet you. Welcome to the Damn Sports Show. Second day in a row. That's awesome.
Hey, thank you. Like I said, I didn't mess up enough, or not enough. I didn't make too many mistakes
between you
to make my way back.
I always tell him when he calls in, because he's unbelievable. One of the best people in the world. We were college friends back in the day, so I got to be careful. You guys are too smart for me. It's going to reflect. All of a sudden, I'm not going to be in. It is not going to be good look. But anyways, I got to toss it to you. It's NBA trade deadline day. It's Josh Jacobs talking about wide receivers 1. What are we talking about today? What are we feeling?
I think today we got to talk about the Bucks. We can get to Josh Jacobs later. We have the whole off season to talk about Josh Jacobs. I don't know. I didn't want to judge the trade deadline or the Chris Middleton trade rather, until today, until the deadline came and passed. I have to say I'm pretty disappointed with how the deadline came and went. Trading for Kyle Kuzma, who I think is a worse player than Chris Middleton, not a player who's very efficient or who can shoot very well. I mean, he's younger and I guess more athletic than Chris Middleton. And then, getting Kevin Porter Jr., who I guess is an upgrade on Marjon Beauchamp, but, I mean, not a great person. Kevin Porter Jr. is.
Fair.
And, Jericho Sims, we needed a defensive big who's athletic and can get boards, so I was cool with that trade. It just seems like the Bucks weren't able to get rid of Pat Connaughton to get under the second apron, so they got rid of Chris Middleton instead and took a little bit of a downgrade for this year. And I'm not going to say they totally punted on this year because you have Dame and Giannis, so you have a chance. But it seems like, to me at least, the team's a little bit worse than they were a couple of days ago. And to downgrade, in my opinion, I mean, we'll see. It could work out. But to downgrade in a year in Giannis's prime just doesn't sit right with me. So, I was okay with trading Chris Middleton for some other players. We were talking about Jimmy and Zach LaVine. But Kyle Kuzma, man, I don't know.
Let me ask you this, and Wally, you too. Scale of 1 to 10. Do you feel more confident in the Bucks? Actually, let's break it down a little bit more this way. Let's go in threes. Do you feel more confident, about the same, or less confident about the Bucks after all these moves heading into the final stretch of the season?
I'm echoing him. I think it's absolutely less confident because not only does it feel like the Bucks potentially took a step back in the last couple days, you got to see Cleveland go out and make a fantastic move earlier today. If anything, it feels like they're separating themselves the other direction. It does feel frustrating because I thought after that move yesterday, it was setting up for something today. And now that we're after that 2 o'clock deadline, you're kind of stuck asking, was it worth it moving Chris Middleton after all? And it's hard for me to really say definitively yes at this point.
I feel like moving Chris Middleton too there were a number of reasons why you had to move Chris Middleton in this situation. You had to move him for the financial. You had to move him because you needed to get younger. And it was just time to move on in general. It's, lack of a better way to put it, it sucks to move on from a fan favorite. It sucks to move on from a guy who helped you get a championship ring. But as we alluded to it a little bit yesterday, is that it felt like that this is probably coming a year too late now. It's a situation where you needed to make a move. You needed to get it's now. I don't think this is ever going to come close because you still have at least 3-4 years of a prime Giannis. But it's more so, what is the return that you're going to get? I think the Bucks lucked out that they did get Kyle Kuzma. Don't get me wrong. But also, when I look at it, I wasn't stoked about Kyle Kuzma yesterday. I was like, okay, that's cool. If you told me maybe like 2-3 years ago, which hypothetically, let's just say hypothetically, Kyle Kuzma 2-3 years ago, if we're getting that Kyle Kuzma, then that's great. This makes you younger. This is a young star, and this brings a good vibe to the team. Not saying Chris Middleton didn't, but it just freshens it up a little bit, which is what they wanted to do with Dame. But he's also an aging all-star.
So you've got a different spin on it. I've got a feeling, Nihal, you're probably more on that. This wasn't the best day after yesterday, given everything. You thought they were going to go in a different direction at the deadline.
I did, and once Jimmy Butler got traded and once LaVine was part of the De'Aaron Fox deal, I kind of thought, okay, well, I mean, I don't think we're going to make a play for Kevin Durant or anything like that. So I wasn't too optimistic. I think it makes sense to get rid of Chris Middleton. If there really was nobody else out there, I think it really comes down to the fact that they could not move Pat Connaughton without attaching a first-round pick to get under the second apron. And, I mean, getting under the second apron is really important to Pablo's point. We potentially get a mid-level exception this offseason. The 2032 first-round draft pick is not frozen this offseason. So it seems like a move more geared towards this offseason where we move on from Dame, we aggregate Bobby and Brooke and Pat Connaughton to trade for somebody else. Whatever we're going to do this offseason, it seems like it's more geared towards that than to winning this year. I get all of that, and but I kind of wish, like you guys were saying, maybe we could have done something last year by trading Bobby and Pat away when we could aggregate those salaries before these new CBA rules came into place. So to answer the initial question, I feel about the same about the Bucks, maybe a little bit worse. You know, Chris just has so much chemistry with Giannis in terms of being creator. He's such a good connector on Giannis on offense. It feels like he knows exactly how Giannis is going to roll and where he's going to be on those lobs. And I think we're going to miss that. You know, Chris looked terrible on defense, I will say. I mean, he couldn't really move. He had 2 really terrible games against the Trailblazers and the Clippers. But other than that, you know, he was making shots. He was being a good connector. The Bucks' pace actually went up when he was on the floor by 3 points per 100 possessions. The plus minus, which is not my favorite stat, but the plus minus with Chris, Dame, and Giannis was almost a point higher than with just Dame and Giannis. So it seemed like maybe they were going to start figuring some things out as Chris became healthier. But you know, I'm still. We'll see what happens with Kyle Kuzma. Maybe he can go back to some of his Lakers form and getting out of Washington. So I don't know. Didn't
he have like one of the most like air balls or something? There was some weird stat or something like that Alex Gravatt and I over back in our Madison office. He's also a guy who fills in a lot of different shows. Also the host of the Great Dan Huddle on ESPN Madison, which you can hear 6 to 7 on our YouTube channel. Hey, gotta make sure. I give him some love. We got the show on tonight with Barry Alvarez. We were watching a compilation of Kyle Kuzma air balls.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't know. I really hope that this quote isn't real because right now there's so many different like Twitter, X trolls. We still need to figure out how to refer to this. I brought this up yesterday, but I digress. There was a quote saying that Kyle Kuzma apparently like taught the Wizards how to win. They won 9 games this year. How many wins do they have? They're 9-41. You taught them how to win 9 games?
That's 18%, baby.
Oh, congratulations.
That's strong.
That's 180. That's not even a good minor league baseball hitting average.
I believe that was a Centel tweet, so you might have just gotten Centel, but
that's fine. You know what? I need to look. Maybe Jason Wilde was right to say that he's not mad, just disappointed in me, because I should know better. Coming from a journalism background and a guy who made sure he crosses his I's and dots his T's. In every situation, no, man, that's...
Dude, it's a different world. You can't blame yourself. It is hard not to get caught every now and then on Twitter.
I got trolled, and it's okay. You know what? That's the beauty of this. We got to admit our faults here. We're not perfect people. We're not... If anything, that's what we need to take away from this, is that we're not perfect humans.
Jason, go ahead there, Nihal.
No, Kyle Kuzma's a bit of an enigma, so I don't blame you for thinking that might be real, but... I'll let you guys go. Have a great rest of the show, and I'll call back in sometime else to talk about the whole Josh Jacobs receiver situation going on.
Absolutely. As you said, we're going to have plenty of time this offseason, and there are plenty of holes at this point to fill in. But as always, we appreciate that call, man. And again, I got to be careful with you and Pablo. I'm not going to have a job if you guys keep talking together.
9-4.
No, bro, you got to give yourself more credit. You're great, dude.
You're too much. Unbelievable. That's where you have to cut him off, Jack. He can't be giving me compliments like that. Not here. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later. All right. Well, there you had it from him, and I think that echoes. I think a lot of the feeling today in Bucks land is that yesterday there was this feeling of optimism that after that move. That, hey, clearly you're not going to move off Chris Middleton if you're not having something in the chamber, if you're not prepared for the next day. And I think there's a chance they were making those pitches for Jimmy Butler, and they got outbid. And then instead of making a rash move, trying to just make a move to make a move, they decided to more or less sit still today.
I'll steal a little bit of an analogy and take my own spin on this from the joke that I saw with Bobby Portis and the Warriors saying it's 1:57 at the club before 2 p.m. close. It's last call already. You're just trying to get it. This is the situation there. The Bucks are just trying to get the number right now. The Bucks are doing everything they can to just try to get the number. And I don't feel excited. I don't know if this sends me through the roof if I'm a Bucks fan. And if anything, it just makes me more sad. You lose Chris Middleton. Pat Connaughton's still on the roster, but that doesn't guarantee that he's going to be back after the season. I don't know what his contract status looks like, but if anything, all of these moves should have happened, I'd say probably a year or so ago. And it was a huge risk. let's put it this way: of when I had the conversations with people, and I was there when they fired Adrian Griffin. I was there for the first press conference, and I was there when they hired Doc Rivers. That was a risk in itself. Getting Damian Lillard was awesome. That sent people through the roof. But it also was this like reverse type of situation where they were just at the top. They had
There's
two
one place
of the
to
best
go.
stars. But it's this flip-flop type of iceberg where it's not the tiniest peak, but it's just flipping around. But as it goes down, the inverted pyramid. There we go. We're bringing out a lot of journalism lingo, but it's the inverted pyramid type of thing of where it was this, you flip it around, you get Giannis and you get Damian Lillard, hopefully a healthy Chris Middleton, and you've got a you've got a powerful big three in the NBA. But you were banking on Chris Middleton to be healthy, and then what else did the rest of the roster makeup look like? It was almost, not entirely, but almost felt like the same team that ran it back in 21-22.
This is where I want to leave this segment at, because at this point today, after the deadline, where does this team stack up next to the teams like the Knicks, like the teams like the Celtics, the Cavs, who again got better today? Because in my eyes, there is a very clear gap between those three teams in that second tier that the Bucks are very firmly a part of.
And we could definitely talk about it on the other side. I touched on it a little bit this morning on a couple things that I did. It feels like we go on that same point. The odds didn't change when the Bucks made that move yesterday for Kyle Kuzma. And looking at the landscape now in the Eastern Conference, I don't even know if they can make it out of the first round. It does not feel like that they can do that.
And if that happens, you're talking about 3 times in 4 years, and all 4 years of failure to reach the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not good enough. And Dame's, I guess, late stage of his prime, but Giannis at the very top of his powers, to only be getting there, it makes you worried about that road where he is talking cryptically about the future of Giannis. Who knows what that looks like here in Milwaukee. Before we throw it the break, though, very excited for Monday, Pablo, because we have a $25 gift card giveaway to Knuth Brewing Company to our first caller. Again, that'll be our first caller Monday after we have Gabe Neitzel on. They have a tremendous selection of wood-fired pizzas. Talk about gas. I love a good wood-fired pizza.
What's your favorite, like a margarita? What do you go with?
I'm boring. I'm old school, baby. Give
don't
me just
tell me you're just going to go
pepperoni.
cheese.
Give me pepperoni every single time.
Okay.
No doubt about it. But on top of that, a wide array of drink options for them. Even if you're not the first caller, highly recommend taking the family troop to Knuth Brewing Company in Ripon. Doesn't get much better than that. We do have a caller on the line. We will get to them on the other side of the break here, because when we come back, Josh Jacobs wants the Packers to make a move for a proven number 1 wide receiver. Wow. Perhaps one that's already been wearing green and gold before.
No way.
I know. Little head scratcher. Maybe get Mark Tauscher's butterfat. We'll have to definitely revisit that. Excuse me.
I'm gonna call it now. I think he's talking about I lost.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of names out there. Could be anybody, baby.
Could be anything. Randall Cobb, maybe.
No, be careful. You don't want to be robbing Aaron Rodgers out there in New York. But we're talking Packers next here on the Damn Sports Show, presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun, right here on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. pass rush, wide receivers, pass rush. It's all every Packers fan has been talking about just a month outside of free agency and a couple months outside of that draft. Apparently, we're not the only ones talking about how to improve the roster, though, because Josh Jacobs, like many of us, is not thrilled about the wide receiver room as currently constructed, Pablo. Make sure you guys call into the show, 920-887-9595. Let Pablo and I know what you think of the Josh Jacobs comments. And it looks like we do have a call on the line. Tyler from Watertown is going to join us. Tyler, how are you doing today?
Yes, sir.
I'm doing good, Wally. How about you?
We're doing very well, Tyler. How about the Bucs trade deadline? How are we feeling after that?
Yeah, I kind of feeling they were going to end up trading Milton, honestly, because last 3 years he's been injured
Yeah,
throughout the season.
It's been tough the last few, the double ankle surgery in the offseason. At this age, anytime I'm trying to imagine.
And then who did they get? Because they made another trade at the deadline.
It was
Earlier,
Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, bringing him back home.
Marjan Beauchamp. So that I'm not saying like it's like, oh, we should be stoked that Marjan Beauchamp is gone. They actually achieved something that they sought out to do, was to try to deal Marjan Beauchamp. Hopefully, he's a talented guy. It's a coexisting situation. Talented guy, didn't work out. Hopefully he succeeds with the Clippers.
2 straight first-round picks no longer on the Bucs team. That's something to keep an eye on.
That is a huge rip, not just for the Bucs, but also for the Packers.
Yeah, it's a great point. Wisconsin sports in general need to draft better. And Tyler, I'm sure you saw Josh Jacobs' comments that we're going to be playing here shortly.
I heard about and yeah, I didn't like the wide receiver option either. He did not have much. They need to go out, even if they have to go get a veteran or some. Get someone that Jordan Love can rely on constantly.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's the goal right now, or at least whether that be through the draft, whether it be through free agency, there's going to be new faces in that wide receiver room. They just simply can't run it back once again like they have, and they just haven't seen that jump. We keep waiting for that second or third year leap from these guys, and whether it be injuries, whether it be drops, whether it be anything, there has been something that has derailed all 4 of those guys that we were so high on going into this season.
Yeah, I'm excited for whatever happens here. The Packers do need to go after those marquee guys. That's just how it goes. But who is the person that they're going to go after? Who fits the mold? I don't know. I feel like everybody's trying to make a case for just about everybody that's out there.
People are willing.
And we need another good pass rusher besides Sean Gary all the time.
Yeah,
we need a good one because we haven't had the best 2 we had. We lost.
I was just about to say, if we're calling Rashawn Gary a good pass rusher right now.
Technically a Pro Bowler.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Congratulations. You can play dodgeball now.
Tyler Huntley of the world. How is that a Pro Bowler in 2025? I can't wrap my head around it.
Russell
I
Wilson's
still can't
a Pro
believe he
Bowler.
made it either.
True.
Hey, but I will say, Jalen Johnson deserved it. Jalen Johnson deserved it. Chicago Bears. Oh, that's right. Wait. I had something else. There we go.
Unbelievable.
Now we're ready to go.
See, don't worry,
Now we're ready to
cheeseheads
go.
at home. If you're watching on Daily Dodge TV, Pablo has his Chicago Bears hat on.
Yes, sir.
It's all right. I brought the yellow hat out here for us, Tyler. I'm going to represent.
Bears suck.
Well, hang on. Technically, because of licensing agreements from this hat, it's not a Chicago Bears hat specifically. It's just
just a Bears hat.
It's just a blue and orange trucker's hat with a picture of a grizzly bear
It
on
could
the
be
front,
anything.
and it says defense. That's it. So
There's only
interpret
one
in
team I like in
Radioland
Chicago.
if you're not watching. Wait, what'd you ask me, Tyler?
I said there's only one team I like in Chicago, and that's at U.S. Singular Field.
Yeah, well, and they aren't that great these days.
Oh,
but
you talking
Pablo will
about,
tell you about
my
that.
Chicago White Sox?
That's his boys.
That's the only team I like in Chicago is the White Sox.
Tyler, man, you and I could talk shop all day about this thing, man. Oh, jeez, that's gonna hurt me. This those boys are hurt. You know what? Actually, one of our teammates asked me about this. Because Chicago and everything of the changes that they're going through. They asked me, "Can you even name 5 players on the White Sox?" I'm a huge diehard fan, and I'm like, wait a second.
That's hard.
I don't think I watched one single game last year. I didn't go to a game. Usually I try to go home and see the White Sox for a game. My parents live less than a mile from the ballpark, so it's always an easy walk. It's a beautiful time in the
Go
summer.
out and say hello to 900 of your closest friends that are at the game.
Right,
There's
exactly.
only one city
You're great.
I have yet
You're
to see in
hilarious.
Chicago,
Hey,
and
listen.
it's the oldest.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe I've said this already on radio. Maybe I haven't before, but I will stand by it. Chicago the Chicago White Sox are a better indication of what the city of Chicago is than the Chicago Cubs, and I will stand by that.
Right? I got to agree with you there.
I will stand by that.
There.
I think that we're in the circle of trust here. I think all three of us are fine with that. I'm an anti-Cubs everything guy, so I'm very happy to push that narrative whenever I get a chance.
We need to send this clip to Corey.
This fellow, Wally's a Pirates fan.
Oh, he gets to see it right here on Daily Dodge TV, rocking the quarter zip today.
Oh, he's got the quarter zip with the Pittsburgh P on there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some legends, man. We think of remember Jose Bautista when he hit 15 home runs with that team, and all of a sudden he goes to Toronto and hits 60 bombs.
It's the Pirates way, man. You can go back and look at Aramis Ramirez. You can go with almost any player in the 2000s to 2015s that the Pirates traded off.
Look at Torres.
When's Paul Skeens becoming a Yankee?
Probably in 2030 when the team moves. I'm ready. Let me free me from this prison that is being a Pirates fan. I'm willing myself to be a Brewer fan.
Wally remembers him.
You can't move from PNC Park though, man.
No, well,
you cannot.
It's a great park. One of these days, a baseball team will play there. But Tyler, as always, we're so happy to have you call in. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
we'll
talk to you tomorrow, Wally.
Absolutely, we'll talk to you tomorrow, Tyler. We appreciate it. Well,
just what everybody expected. Pirates, White Sox.
You can't help it.
Here in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
Sometimes when you start talking about like these bad guttural franchises across sports, it's just like this camaraderie moment where we get to share it, because I know that you know the pain. Obviously, off of last year, worst season in MLB history. Yeah. And then, like, even the people at home that are Brewers fans, you understand from a sense that even with the team going every single year, it seems like, to the postseason, or at least competing with it, we haven't seen that next step from that organization. And as we get closer to spring, we're going to talk about that Brew Crew more and more, because it's going to be an interesting year between the Cubs and the Brewers. It looks like both those teams are going to be the top of the NL Central.
Let me flip-flop this for you. Would you rather have – I think we know what the right answer is, but it's not as easy as we think. Would you rather just be like the lovable losers situation? Would you just be one of the worst teams in the league? Or – I'm just going to put the Packers out on a platter. They make the playoffs, they win the division, but yet there's always some heartbreak. You have this was the anniversary too of when they won the Super Bowl 14 years ago. I believe it was 2011, right?
Yeah, 2010, 2011.
Yeah. So 14 years ago, they're hoisting the Lombardi, but think about all the playoff losses to the Niners. So many times.
Just speaking from my hollow existence of being a Raiders and a Pirates fan, I would kill to be miserable in January instead of miserable in September and October.
Yeah.
Or in baseball's case, where the Pirates season is over by mid-May. I don't need that in my life.
It's really crazy, and Wally is very fortunate to have not been on this side, but I have a friend who used to work in Madison. Now she covers Ohio State and Columbus sports. Where I was
little
texting
program
her.
there.
Yeah, a little bit. So which is what I was saying was when I texted her, because she's also a Detroit Lions fan, and that was when Ben Johnson was hired. I texted her to have a little bit of a fun troll. I'm like, hey, thanks for Ben Johnson, and she was like, who? I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. Let me dive into this. I'm like, how do you not know who this is? She's like, sorry, I'm in college football mode. I just am like, now that the season is finally over, and I'm thinking to myself, wow. What a turn, where I checked out a college football season because the Badgers were done just right after Thanksgiving, and here we are 2.5 months later, and one of my friends is still deep into college football, or just finishing the college football season for her. Congrats to your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Thank you.
That's a crazy thing to think about.
I tell you, it's one of those things that keep me sane. The Buckeyes are one of the rare things you cross across all these sports. You got even up here. We're talking Wisconsin sports. You're a Packers. You're a Brewers. You're a Bucks fan. That Bucks championship had to just be great, because when you are getting to the postseason so often, it's a different kind of hell. Where you and I are, a lot of our teams, they're dead by halfway point of the season. That's a misery, a different kind. But when you have those expectations, you have that belief, and a lot like Josh Jacobs, as we're about to play his soundbite here, the Packers fans have a belief that this could be a Super Bowl team, and they're just falling short. So the question was to Josh Jacobs, what is it that you can do right now to improve this offense? And we're going to listen now as Jack's going to cue us up with this video.
That, and then obviously we got a really young group of receivers. All can be really, really, really special, but I think personally we need a guy that's proven to be a number one already. So somebody that's going to and we know it's going to be a little bit more consistent.
And then maybe played here before.
He come at the right part. He come at the right
I
part.
love that.
Tell him
So
he's
naturally, he is voicing those frustrations that I feel like so many Packers fans have been saying, that while these 4 wide receivers show so much promise, there is so much underlying talent there, they haven't put it all together for large stretches of time. So Josh Jacobs' answer, go get a veteran number 1 wide receiver. And yeah, you heard him hinting at the possibility of that being Davante Adams. But if it isn't, who do you think that's going to be?
Well, I'm going to be the evil empire here and just say that I am like, have you ever seen that meme of the little girl who's watching a house on fire and she turns around and has that
Little grin
smirk?
on her face?
That's kind of me right now. I am not going to lie. But it's just because of the way that the season ended for the Packers, and you look at the final 3 weeks and how they had talked about that the locker room vibe was already starting to lose. That's a red flag to me, because I've never in my years of covering the team, in my years of just watching football, have ever known the Green Bay Packers as a I hope we win this week. Whereas like it's when the Packers and Bears played each other earlier this season, was Mark Tauscher put it together perfectly. The Bears have always been an organization. I hope we can pull this out. Whereas the Packers are, I know that even if we're down and out, we're going to find a way to win. There are two different sides to this, and the Packers slowly over those last few weeks, because you heard about Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney, whether it was a player, I don't think it was a players only meeting, but just just everybody congregating in the locker room. Hey, we gotta get our S word together. We gotta get it together, man. And the fact that it took some rallying, it sounds like these guys are more open to express their grievances. I was looking at Davante Adams, though. Not only does he still have 2 more years before he hits free agency, this cap hit is pretty tough. And I don't know if the Packers, I have to look at what the Packers have, but Davante Adams over the next 2 seasons, he deferred a lot of his money in his Vegas. I always have to go back and
whenever
say,
somebody's
and not say
getting
Oakland.
traded multiple times too in a little stretch, that's always a little trap.
Right. And his contract right now in 25-26, from what I'm looking at, he's owed $35 million, just a little 35 and a half each season.
For an older wide receiver, 32 years
This is
old.
an aging receiver, and I say aging loosely. He's still solid, and let's put it this way: who do you think is a bigger risk if the Packers were to go after a veteran wide receiver, Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp, 100%.
So you say
I don't
Cooper
even think
or
it's
Davante Adams?
close.
You didn't even let me finish the question.
I already had a feeling if you have a shot and you go either one in a vacuum, you go Davante Adams all day. There's still like that sign in there. Cooper, I feel like you're starting to see that slow regression before your eyes. The aging has hit him a little faster. The injuries have hit him a little harder. Davante, you bring him back to a place he's familiar, a coaching staff that he has worked with before, and he steps into a role where, yeah, they're going to look to him to be a one, but they're not going to ask him to be that savior that I feel like the Vegas Raiders wanted him to be, that the Jets brought him in as a last-ditch effort to be. You bring him in to be a leader to those young wide receivers and get you a 1,200-yard season.
This reminds me of why the Bears hoped to bring in Keenan Allen. It just felt like that injuries were his issue, but they didn't expect the guy who was an all-pro, a guy who was first team, one of the Chargers, if not the best receiver in Chargers history, definitely up there based off the numbers. Why you bring in a guy who has been that number one, but you don't expect him to be that number one? I agree with you on that one.
Well, if you want to get a Davante Adams card, or hey, who knows, maybe you're like Pablo, you're a Bears fan, maybe you want to go get a Bears pack, you're going to want to head on right over to Real Sports Cards in Waupun, as I'm trying to read the Beaver Dam girls basketball read instead. But looking for a one-stop shop marketing agency, all things sports cards, head over to Real Sports Cards in Waupun or check out their app. Whether you are into sports cards or Pokemon cards, we talked about Charizard
Fancy.
being big day yesterday. Got it up on the screen for you guys watching at home. That big orange logo, that's what you're going to be looking for. With live break streaming right on the app, you can grab individual cards on the go. Be part of a group and watch for your favorite players and teams as packs get open. Go to the Apple or Google Play Store today. Look for that big orange logo and take your collection to the next level with Real Sports Cards in Waupun, your local resource for all things sports cards, Pokemon cards, and more. You asked me yesterday what my favorite Pokemon card was. If you can't say Mewtwo, where are you going?
I'm going to Classic Pikachu, man.
All right, sure. Just
Classic
old school Pikachu?
Old school Pikachu, man. That's the OG. But I was talking about Pokemon cards earlier, and I said Mewtwo was my go-to. Mewtwo is 6'7".
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's going to be like your 3 on an NBA team.
That is insane. I did not realize that. I did not realize how powerful of a creature Mewtwo is. That's scary.
Maybe it's like the
feel
LeBron 6'7", though, where it's like 3 inches taller every couple of years.
We looked this up too. Let me see real quick. Players that are 6'7".
In the NFL, you're saying?
In the NBA.
Okay,
in the
good.
NBA.
I was going to say, you at least got a little bit wider of a range there.
Doncic.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's just
Luka
got
Doncic, Kawhi
apparently
Leonard.
he looks like me, according to Dallas.
Hey man, listen. We can all indulge a little bit. We can have some fun. But Shaq also said it too, that from what he was talking with people, 95% of the guards, they're not as good as he said. I think chubby Luka.
Oh yeah,
that's what he said. All right, I'm looking here. Jimmy Butler, 6'7", also as tall as Mewtwo. Chris Middleton.
Oh, well, there you go.
There we go.
Does Mewtwo's ankles good? Could the Bucks be bringing him in maybe on a free agent deal?
Who knows? We got to make sure. We got to make sure that the deal works out for both sides.
Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about another basketball team. The Beaver Dam Golden Beavers girls basketball team is traveling to Milton for a Badger Large showdown, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Pablo if we have time. If not, we'll push that to tomorrow. But we're going to come back, talk some Beaver Dam basketball. We are the Dam Sports Show presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun, right here on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
This is Mark.
Milton Beavers girls basketball team looks to get back on track tonight with a road matchup with Milton on Daily Dodge TV at 7 o'clock. Mike Tronson on the call for that one. And Pablo, man, this schedule this next couple weeks is a gauntlet for the Golden Beavers. Go to Milton tonight, then they're going to have Wanakee, then they have Oregon, Brookfield East, before finishing the season with Monona Grove. Pablo, going into a difficult 5-game stretch like this, how do you approach these games with the playoffs only a couple weeks away?
It'll test you and show you who you are at the end of the day. I know that's coach talk of all coach talks right there, but that's what this is. You come out with a win today against Milton, that sets you up for a prime situation to most likely play for the Badger Large next Tuesday. You're at home. You're facing Wanakee. It's a showdown, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, good on Beaver. This is a tough conference in general. When you look at the Badger Large and all these schools, and Oregon is a team that made it to state last year. Wanakee wasn't too far behind them either. These are, like I mentioned, these are tough teams. Not to downplay Beaver Dam, but it just Madison area schools in general, like everything, and not too far from everything. I'm getting a little jumbled, but you know what I'm saying. It's that's just the thing. It's, you play hard. You got to make sure that you come out with the win. And more coach talk as I kind of roll my eyes a little bit at myself because I know I'm going for it. But it is just day by day. It's one game at a time. You can't get too ahead of yourself because the more you're looking forward or the more you're looking back. Like I think Isaac Garendo said it best. The former Badger running back who transferred over to Louisville had a phenomenal season in the 49ers. I'm not running my fastest if I'm looking behind me. I got to stay looking forward.
Hey, I love that. And Coach Jolka, he's got this team playing hard right now. And credit to this program, too, bouncing back. Because this is a program that knows state success at a big level. And we haven't seen that in a couple of years. And this team feels poised to take that next step. And we saw them. You brought up Oregon. They were down 16 in the first half. Or what I say first half. They were down 16 with 7 minutes left in the game against Oregon in December. And came back, got a big win there. And it has poised them to play for this conference as a large. But the problem is, again, this is a difficult 3-game stretch. You're likely going to have to win all 3. It's a big ask. It's more than possible, though, when you're led by a leading scorer like Natea Donaldson, who just had her 1,000th career point this last week as a junior. Unbelievable. And then Emma Jolka, again, been phenomenal outside the arc so far this year, 28 3-pointers, and tried with Wanakee. You got to win tonight. Make that game mean something. Put that pressure on them. They're coming into your barn. You got a good position to do it. I'm excited to watch this game tonight. Again, Mike Tronson on the call. You can hear it on Daily Dodge TV at 7 o'clock. But we are going to step aside now for a short break and come back. And you know what time it is, man. It's Out of Bounds. We're going to tell you what has set us off in this last week. But you are listening to the Damn Sports Show, brought to you by Real Sports Cards in Waupun on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. time for Out of Bounds. Pablo and I are about to tell you what sets us off this week, whether that pertains to sports or everyday life. Real quick, before we jump into that, though, just had it sent over to me by Wade today from 4, so about 52 minutes ago, until 8 o'clock. You can go over to the Pizza Ranch fundraiser where the girls' hockey team is over there, have dinner with them, support the team, and say hello to some conference champions, well-deserved conference champions. So very excited about that. So make sure if you're free, hop on over and get some good food while you're at it.
You ever been to a Pizza Ranch?
Oh, I have. I love the arcade setup, too. It's kind of like a Dave & Buster's small town feel.
The only Pizza Ranch, actually I have a few Pizza Ranch memories, but one that's specific comes to mind. It was my senior year of college. We did like a mini spring break trip out of the Wisconsin Dells. We did a cabin, so we had some fun. It was me and a few of my fraternity brothers. And we went to a Pizza Ranch. I kid you not, we were there for like 2.5 hours.
Oh, you can house some pizza there, man.
We were some guys who could put away food. I'm still a guy that could put away some food.
I'm always we were talking about pizza a little while ago, but I'm a big pepperoni guy over there too. Every now and then I'll double it up. There's multiple types of pepperoni.
But
Sprinkle
you got
that on there.
But there's specialties there.
Yeah, I know. I'm a
there.
boring pizza guy, Pablo. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm picky with my pizza. I've got like 4 or 5 things I'm going for.
You're picky with your pizza. You listen to classical music from what you're
Love it.
I'm not gonna rag on you for it, but we gotta. I don't know if I don't want to say change something. We gotta diversify this palate a little bit.
I'm a problem child with pizza. I am so entrenched. I know what's good. Why would I go out and mix it up?
You know what's good? What do you mean you know what's good?
Pepperoni pizza. Why would I have to mix with perfection?
I'm not saying that pepperoni pizza is bad, but maybe like tonight I don't want to just make a pepperoni pizza. I want to make pepperoni. I want to put some white onions on it.
And that's fine with me.
Peppers.
Throw onions, throw some peppers on there if you want. As long as you got that base of pepperoni, I'm fine. Just keep the pineapple all away from me.
So you're cool with
never put it on.
You're cool with swimming in the infinity pool that looks out at the ocean versus swimming in the ocean.
Oh, 100%. Why would I want sand? Let me just sit
I'm
over
not saying
here.
You got to get into the sand. I'm just saying.
I have to get into the sand if I'm going to the ocean.
It's right there, though.
I'm not going into the ocean. You have fun. You bring all the sand. You'll have it in your clothes for the next 3 weeks. Have a great time. I'll stay by the pool. Have my drink. It'll be a great time.
We'll figure this out. We'll get you convinced. We'll get you convinced out over here by tomorrow. I'll get you out in the ocean.
Well, see, that will never happen. But that would set me off. But I want to know, Pablo, what sets you off? This is your first time doing this. What has been boiling under the skin here?
Listen, Sunday, big game.
Okay.
Chiefs-Eagles. America's saying the Eagles. Even I went with the Eagles at a +2.5, I think, on ESPN bet. Don't root against the Chiefs, though, man. Just because you want.
Off it. No.
Listen, let's appreciate greatness when we have it in front of us instead of. I was watching Air the other night. Fantastic movie about the development of the Air Jordan 1. And Matt Damon's speech, also, you're not human if you don't want to run through a brick wall after hearing Matt Damon's speech. And it's a perfect way to describe this. People are going to build you up, and you're going to reach to that top, and they're going to build you into something great that you can never reach. But once you reach that greatness and once you're successful, they're going to want to tear you down. And that is exactly what is happening. So now Patrick Mahomes has the chance to rise above the ring. If anything, they've made it to 3 straight Super Bowls. No other team has had the opportunity to do this. Whether or not they actually come through is beside the point. But let's not sit here and root against.
I will absolutely be rooting against them.
We're not here to say that we're going to root against this team. I'm not for it. I want a good game. I want an exciting game. I want to have a little extra cheddar in the pocket. I'm not going to lie. When we say fly, Eagles fly.
You're rooting for the Chiefs. A couple months ago, I remember you were talking about how great it was to have a Dodgers-Yankees World Series.
Yes.
You just want to make everybody angry.
Maybe sometimes you like to stir the pot. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Well, I'll tell you mine is, as we got about 50 seconds left on the show, I briefly mentioned this last week, but it really sets me off. I love watching YouTube sports compilations. I was watching one where it was all the named plays in NFL history. We are not going to keep naming plays for irrelevant teams in the middle of a regular season. The Miami Miracle, that team literally missed the playoffs, and the Patriots, who they beat, won the Super Bowl that year, and we're calling plays and celebrating it? No, it's forgotten as it should be. It's no Miami Miracle. Get that noise out of here.
You don't like the Philly special? You don't like the brotherly
I'll let
shove?
I'll let the Philly special because it won a Super Bowl.
Cheese
I don't
cheddar?
need a midday. No,
I don't like that. I don't like cheese cheddar.
But that's going to do it for us here today. Make sure you tune into the Homer Hour coming up next in Beaver Dam Girls Basketball tonight on Daily Dodge TV at 7 o'clock. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
Go.
This Sports Center update is brought to you